Hey everyone, it's Caitlin and welcome to another video. Today I'm going to be filming a grocery haul for you guys. This one is a little bit different. I'm going to be focusing more on pantry staples and non-perishables because I'm filming this video during the coronavirus. I'm pretty sure all of us know what the coronavirus is by now, and it's pretty much the consensus among most medical professionals that social distancing is the key to mitigating this, to flattening the curve, to reducing the spread of the disease. And even if you are not an at-risk population, you have a privilege in that fact, and you can eliminate unnecessary suffering from vulnerable populations just by staying home and limiting your social contact with other people. So that sounds like a pretty simple way to fight a disease and something that all of us can pretty easily do at home, but a lot of us are, sort of out of sorts right now because we usually work in an office or we have to go to school, and right now we're kind of stuck at home. And then also we want to limit the amount of times we're leaving our house, so people are stocking up on groceries. So I thought it would be helpful to film a coronavirus grocery haul, basically, to show you some suggestions of things that you can have in your pantry that are going to last for a long period of time and that aren't necessarily going to be expensive either, and that are also very versatile, so you're not, just going to be stuck to eating plain rice and beans every day. Before I get into the haul, I want to say 3 important things, and please don't skip this part of the video. This is like the most important part of the video, in my opinion. First one is do not panic. So I know it can seem kind of weird that you're now forced to stay at home. Maybe you're forced to buy, more groceries than you normally do if you go more frequently than once a week. But at the end of the day, you are not going to die by staying home. You are just preventing the spread of the illness. So there is no need to go crazy. Obviously, we're all going to feel a little anxious right now, but you don't need to panic. Know that you are safe, and the safest thing you can do is to stay at home. So just keep that in mind. Number 2 is to buy only what you need. This is the most important takeaway from this grocery haul. So I didn't go to the store. I'm pulling out items that I got to prepare myself for self-isolation, and the items I already had in my pantry to tell you some suggestions of what you could get at the store if you do not already have these items in your pantry. People are going pretty much crazy right now and unnecessarily stocking up on things like toilet paper, tissues, but even food items like pasta, beans, rice, canned goods. And the problem is that when you do that, people who live paycheck to paycheck or maybe have a job where they can't stay and work from home, they still have to go in, they're not having an opportunity to go to the store and get what they need. So if someone gets their paycheck at the end of the week, but you've already cleared out all the tissues since Wednesday, they're not gonna get any tissues. And you don't need 20 boxes of tissues or 20 rolls of toilet paper or 20 boxes of pasta. So I would say before you go shopping, if you haven't gone already, please take a look at your pantry, see what you already have, and realistically make a list for things that can get you through the next 1 to 2 weeks. Because you can still technically go out in public. Grocery stores are not going to close. So if you do run out of something, you can go to the store and get it a week or 2 weeks later. The issue is when you take it all now, people are going to go hungry because there's not going to be any food left for them. So please just keep that in mind. And if you've already taken maybe more than you need, maybe offer it to your local food bank or other people in your community. You can resell it to them if you can't afford to give it to them for free, or you can donate it. My 3rd tip is to have a backup plan. So with all that being said, your grocery store might be really, really low stock on things already, and you might sort of have to scrounge around and just get whatever's available. So, if you come in and you really want black beans, but there's only like pinto beans left, you're not gonna die. And just like along those lines, if you're used to having like a kale smoothie every day and like tons of fresh produce or like a certain specific brand of pasta and that's not in the store, know that you're gonna survive. And it's okay if your diet looks a little different over these next 2 weeks. You're not going to die if you don't eat 20 tons of leafy greens in a day. And maybe it's a good time to practice intuitive eating and some food freedom as well. Okay, so now we're gonna get into the haul. I broke everything up into 6 main categories. So I'm going to go through each of them and give you some examples of things you could get in each category based on what your grocery store has. So our first category is protein, and all plants have protein. And I'm not starting with this because vegans or whatever are deficient in protein. I just think it's something people talk about, and protein helps to keep you full. And you know, if you want the most bang for your buck, you want to get calorically dense and protein dense food sources. So as with any plant-based diet on any given day, most of your protein is going to come from legumes or beans, lentils, like different pulses, things like that. So there are a few different ways you can go. The most common way that people are taking is to get cans of beans. I actually do not buy canned beans. I'll get into that in a second. This is the only can of beans I have in my house. It's a can of refried beans. So you can get any type of canned bean. Beans are pretty versatile. You can switch them out in different meals. If your store is out of canned beans, check their bulk bins, or maybe close by, they'll sell beans in bulk or dry beans. So I already have a pretty well-stocked pantry just because I am a food blogger. So when I went out to the grocery store, I didn't buy any more grains or canned beans because I already knew I had enough to get me through 2 weeks. So with beans or pulses, you can just cook them in a pot on your stove, or you can cook them in a pressure cooker if you have one. So you don't need to have pre-cooked canned beans. It takes a little bit more time, but if you're working from home anyways, it's really not that big of a deal. So here I have some lentils. These are great because they only cook in 30 minutes on the stovetop. You can get chickpeas or stuff, but if you're cooking it on the stove, that might take more like 2 hours, but still not that big of a deal. And then here, just as an example, I have some split peas. These are great in Indian curries and things, but I love beans. I eat them almost every day. I eat at least 1 serving of beans per day, actually. And then my final source of plant-based protein is soy. So this isn't technically shelf stable, but you're not gonna lose power during the coronavirus. So you can buy refrigerated and frozen things as well. Tofu is a great source of plant-based protein. You can also get tempeh. I'm currently out of tempeh, but they are kind of interchangeable. I have a ton of different recipes for tofu and tempeh on my blog. And that being said, you can also buy any plant-based meat product that you want, because again, we're not losing power here. We don't need to freak out. You can pretty much continue with your normal diet during the coronavirus and nothing is gonna happen to you. So if you wanna get veggie burgers or chicken strips or ground beef, like any plant-based version of that stuff, that totally works too. So that's it for protein. My next main category is grains, because grains are a good source of complex carbohydrates, and carbohydrates are like the basic fuel of your body. Carbs are not bad. Need them to survive, and grains are a great way to get it. They're a great source of fiber. They have other nutrients in them, and they help keep you full for longer. So my favorite grains are rice. You can get white rice or brown rice. It really doesn't matter. Again, I just want to reiterate, I already have these in my pantry. If I didn't have any rice in my pantry, I would just get 1 bag of rice and it'd be fine for like a week if it was just me. Another great form of grains is pasta. So I'm gluten-free, my partner is gluten-free, so we get gluten-free pasta. So what I like to do is get bean or legume-based pasta. So this, for both lentil-based pastas, we'll get chickpea paste pastas, black bean pastas, anything like that. I like to get these because they're often mixed with the grains. So this one is mixed with quinoa. Both of these are. So you get a good source of grains, but you're also getting a source of plant-based protein. So it helps to make the meal more filling. My store was out of my favorite gluten-free pasta, but they had these, so it's really not a big deal. I just bought 2 boxes to get us through the next like 2 weeks because we actually didn't have any pasta at home. And last but not least, bread. I got a loaf of gluten-free bread. You can get regular bread. If your store really doesn't have any bread and you have the time, you could also just buy a bag of flour and make your own bread. There are a ton of no-knead bread recipes out there. I just like bread because it's great for toast. It's good for like a quick meal. You can make French toast with it, sandwiches, you get the drill. Basically, grains are good. The next category is fat, because we all need protein, carbs, and fat to survive. So you're not gonna die if you just eat like rice and beans straight up for 2 weeks. I don't think any of us are going to be though, but it's just important to keep some healthy sources of fat. So if you cook with oil, just make sure you have enough oil to last you for 2 weeks. Another great source is nuts or nut butters. Nuts are also a great source of protein as well. I like peanut butter because it's delicious, it's cheap, and I'm not allergic to it. So we buy giant jars of peanut butter. I repurpose them, as you can see, to store other things in my house. And then in terms for nuts, you could just buy a trail mix if you want something that's easy to snack on, or you can buy whole nuts. Here I just have some cashews. I usually keep cashews on hand because they're really creamy and they're easy to blend into cashew milk or make creamy vegan pasta sauces with. or a cashew cream. And then here, if you're having an allergy, you can still get pumpkin seeds, coconut, sesame seeds. Here I just have some hemp hearts. Flaxseed is also a great option. I like hemp hearts because they're really creamy. They blend well into smoothies, and they're also a good source of plant-based protein. I think 3 tablespoons has about 10 grams or so. So you don't need to get every nut in the world. Just maybe pick like 1 or 2 for you to snack on or use in meals throughout the week. The next category is vegetables. And I think it's really interesting because when you go to the grocery store, you see things like bread and beans and rice gone, and that's like important obviously, and it is more calorically dense, so that makes sense. But the produce section of the store is like completely untouched. And maybe some people just don't eat as much produce as me, but I went to the store only to get produce because I like to stock up on non-perishables in advance, so I don't have to get them every week I go to the store. So it was very easy for me to go grocery shopping because I didn't need much else. But don't sleep on produce, basically. Fruits and veggies are a great source of nutrients, and they're a great addition to any meal. And like I said before, you're not gonna lose power, so you're still gonna have your fridge. So you can just be more selective. And if you're only planning on going to the grocery store once and then staying inside for 2 weeks, just get things that are going to last longer. So here I have some good examples of things that are going to last outside of your fridge. I would recommend getting like onions and garlic because those are really versatile, unless you're low FODMAP or something. Potatoes are wonderful. These will last for weeks on end. You can get regular potatoes or sweet potatoes. You don't even have to refrigerate them. You can make mashed potatoes, roasted potatoes, French fries, stuffed sweet potatoes, potato pancakes, potato smoothie bowls. I have a recipe for that. Potatoes are so versatile, and actually you can almost survive solely eating potatoes for like a really long period of time. There are people who do diets where they only eat potatoes. I'm not advocating that, but I'm just saying white potato gets a lot of hate, but it's actually very nutritious. And then along a similar vein, I actually did get this at the store. I got a kabocha squash. So squash is great because again, it's like cured to last in your pantry for months on end. So you can just get this, you know you're gonna be good for a while. And then if we're talking about produce that needs to be refrigerated, just think of things that have a thicker skin. So example, if you get a carton of baby spinach, you can totally get that. Just know you're going to need to eat that probably within like 5 to 7 days. But maybe you can get things like kale, which will last a little longer. Cabbage is going to last a really long time in the fridge. Things with thicker skins like maybe eggplants, bell peppers, zucchini, carrots will last forever in the fridge. Just think of more hearty vegetables and not something that's gonna wilt like overnight like fresh herbs. Obviously you can get those and you can still use them, but when you run out, just have other things that you can eat in the meantime. Last on the note of vegetables, a lot of frozen vegetables are out, and I understand frozen vegetables are nice because they're convenient, you can just heat them up. But if your store is out of frozen vegetables, you can also just buy the fresh version of that and then put it in your freezer and save for later. So if you do like to have your kale smoothie or spinach in your smoothie, just buy a carton of spinach, put it in your freezer instead of buying frozen spinach, and you still got access. I almost forgot to mention one important part of vegetables is canned or jar vegetables, but technically these are both tomato products, so I guess they're a fruit, so maybe this is a good segue. Canned vegetables are obviously very common right now. They're just as nutritious as fresh vegetables, so you can totally rely on these. I typically don't like to get them as much just because I prefer the flavor of fresh vegetables. Here I have some diced tomatoes. I like these because you can make your own pasta sauce out of them. You can put them in soups. You can do a lot with these. And then I also got a jar of pasta sauce because I bought pasta, so I want something to have on it. So, you know, you can't go wrong with pasta sauce and canned tomatoes. You could also get tomato paste, maybe some like canned green beans or canned corn, or fresh green beans or fresh corn. Really doesn't matter. Our second to last category is fruits, because fruits are just as nutritious as vegetables. I eat at least 1 serving of fruit a day, most often more, because I like fruit. It's sweet, it's satisfying to me, and it's also really good for you. So again, think things with like a harder skin. So we got some apples. You can see them in our little storage bin over here. We got some apples to last us. Oranges will also work, pears, things like that will last on your countertop more. Lemons and limes are also really great to have on hand. A lot of savory recipes use those, or you can add them to water. And then we also got a bunch of bananas. As you can see, they're starting to brown, which is fine. I'm either going to put them in the freezer and use them in smoothies, or I'm gonna turn them into banana bread or banana pancakes or something like that. You can get berries if you want. So if your store is out of frozen berries, you can buy fresh ones and freeze them. Berries in general are going to go bad faster. So obviously don't buy like a month's worth of berries. But if you want to buy a carton of berries and enjoy it in like the first 4 to 5 days if you're staying at home, that's fine too. And my sixth and final category is fun stuff. And I don't have any here because that's really going to depend on the person. But just because you are self-quarantining or staying at home doesn't mean you can't have fun with your food. So maybe for you, that means baking, and you're going to make sure your pantry has enough flour for you to try a few different recipes that you can find online. Maybe you're more of a convenience person, so you want to buy some freezer waffles, maybe a frozen pizza, maybe some cauliflower gnocchi, maybe some like vegan burgers so you can have a burger night. Like, it really is going to depend on the person. Maybe you want to maybe you want to buy a few bags of your favorite brand of chips. Maybe you want to buy a box of cereal. I think that maintaining a certain level of normalcy is really important during this time. So if you have favorite food, don't think you only need to eat rice and beans. Like, realistically, you're just staying at home and nothing else about your life is changing too much. So you can still eat all of your favorite foods. You can still have like a virtual ice cream night with your friends, just go on FaceTime or something. So make sure you have foods that are going to add joy to your life as well. This shouldn't be a stress-inducing thing. So yeah, I would just say make sure you have 1 or 2 snack foods or fun things at home that are going to bring you joy. So I have a few chocolate bars, I have some bags of chips, I have my favorite crackers, and I have a pint of ice cream that's half eaten that might be freezer burned from a few months ago, but I think it'll still be good. All right, guys, that is it for this grocery haul of sorts. I didn't want to give exact things because people eat different amounts of food. I live with another person. Some people live by themselves. Some people have a family of 4. Some people have a family of 8. So realistically, you know the quantities of food that's going to be best for you. I would just suggest maybe coming up with a rough meal plan before you go to the store. So you know, again, rule number 2, that you should only be taking what you need and you don't accidentally take more, which is going to prevent someone from getting food. So I hope you guys found this helpful. I'm going to film a what I eat in a day video later this week. So if you want to stay tuned for that, make sure you subscribe to my channel. But honestly, at the end of the day, if you just pretend it's like a normal week if you go on grocery shopping, you don't need to buy too much of anything in excess. You still have access to all of your kitchen tools. You know, maybe you can't eat out as much as you need to, so you need to get a little bit more. But at the end of the day, nothing is changing like within your house. So you don't need to freak out and buy a ton of things. So I hope you guys are doing well. Hope you're staying healthy and happy and safe and sane. And I look forward to seeing you in the next video. Have a great day.